Hey guys, it's Simmy, and this is the Wrestling Wrap-Up. It's a news video with a bunch of different topics brought to you very simply, easily, however you want to call it. We're here today talking about the Elimination Chamber from last night, what that can mean for WrestleMania going forward, tonight's Monday Night Raw, and more. We do have Kenny from a Kenny with Your Thoughts podcast on with us today. Kenny, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Tim? Thanks for having me again. It's been a little bit, so appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. So, as everyone's aware, last night was the Elimination Chamber. The show had a lot of mixed reactions from the fans and whatnot. And, I didn't think it was as bad as everybody is hooting and hollering about. But what did you think of the show?
That's exactly what I thought. I feel like a lot of people went into this negative, myself included. I think we all expected a filler show. We expected we just had Super Showdown, and now we have this pay-per-view. That being said, I think it hit it out of the park. I think it was a lot better than a lot of people are giving it credit for. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of people online saying it was predictable. I don't think it was as predictable as a lot of people are saying. I don't think anybody saw Sami Zayn winning that Intercontinental title. So I just think people are tying what they felt going in, and then they have to be right after it's over. Like, they can't be wrong about their prediction that it was going to suck. So that's just my opinion.
And your thing about the whole no one expected Sami Zayn to win. I know the betting odds didn't even have Sami Zayn to win. I was told, I want to say, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before the pre-show started, I was told, hey, Sami Zayn may pin Braun tonight. And I was like, wait, what? And It happened.
Right, exactly. I mean, the betting odds change last minute there even. But even then, even if you knew, I don't know if I could speak for you here, Tim, but even if you knew that was going to happen based on the betting odds, you still were surprised when it actually did happen. Am I wrong in saying that?
Well, no, it wasn't the betting odds that I saw shift. I was told by one of my sources, hey, Sammy's going to win tonight.
Gotcha.
And I was like,
even then you didn't believe it, right?
Well, because at first I was like, wait, really? And then he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get more info on exactly what's going to happen. And we'll talk about that when we get to our next topic. But It was just like, okay, I don't get it. I see where it's going. But at the same time, it's just like, why? Why take the title off of Braun? Because what are you going to do? Put it right back on him at Mania?
Right, and that's kind of where I feel like they're going. Is like they did it for the shock value aspect, not necessarily to further anything. Like you said, maybe just give Braun the bigger stage to win back the Intercontinental title, which, like you said, we'll talk about. But yeah, I feel it was done. It was done for that. At the same time, I'm not too mad about it. I mean, it did give Sammy a little moment. He's finally won a major title in WWE, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, outside of him winning the NXT championship, this is the first main roster title he's won, and he's been on the main roster for 5 years now.
That's crazy to think about. It doesn't seem like he's been on there that long.
No, not at all.
But yeah, five years. Yeah, and it's his first main roster title, as you said.
And I mean, other things that took place at Elimination Chamber, we did see the Undertaker show up. It was reported earlier in the day by PWU Insider that he was backstage, but wasn't clear if he was what his role would have been on the show. But if Undertaker's backstage, of course he's gonna have some sort of a role. He's not just gonna be there to bore. Had Aleister Black win that way, like Aleister Black having to get help, almost cheapened his win.
You were kind of this is my thing, and I think a lot of wrestling fans react without thinking about the bigger picture. They were kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because you don't have AJ Styles lose clean to Aleister Black, but with Aleister Black being an up-and-coming star, you don't have him eat a pin either. So The Undertaker's involvement furthered the storyline. I had said it. I think we all expected it. I had tweeted it out, AKFYT Wrestling on Twitter. I was like, so Aleister Black the lights are going to go out and Aleister Black's going to be replaced by The Undertaker, right? And I think we all kind of, probably predicted that was coming, but the execution of it was great. I didn't have a problem with it. Aleister Black got a pin, but AJ Styles also has a gripe now. So to me, yes, I get what people are saying. Aleister Black didn't need the help, but it's not like he also asked for the help. It was like, in kayfabe, the supernatural powers of The Undertaker that overtook the match, and he just so happened to get the win. You know what I mean?
Right,
I don't know.
exactly.
I think people are harping and overthinking this one, or maybe not thinking enough about how this helped everybody in that situation. Alistair got the win. AJ Styles didn't eat a clean pin going into WrestleMania against The Undertaker. And of course, The Undertaker got into AJ Styles' head for WrestleMania. So all in all, good things.
My question is, what about the way AJ sold that black mask like his head was literally kicked off?
Right. And there you go. Forget The Undertaker's involvement. He made Aleister Black look like $1 million just off that sell.
Here's
So
the
I
thing.
don't think anybody. Right.
Go finish your thought.
No, I was gonna say I don't think anybody should be mad that Aleister won like that.
Right. Now, here's the thing. AJ likes to sometimes oversell people's finishers. And we saw at the Royal Rumble, when he oversold Edge's spear, he injured himself. Do you think maybe he needs to cool it down a little bit?
AJ, I get it. AJ, he's 40 now. I mean, he's not 30, but he's still gonna sell like the AJ Styles of old. And I guess if I'm thinking about him as a person, yes, I think he should slow it down just a step, because he needs longevity in the business. But at the same time, he's AJ freaking Styles. He knows what brought him to the dance, which is his selling ability. So until it causes something, hopefully not like a major injury, I would say not. That Edge one was a little unfortunate just because he landed on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He should have kind of taken more of a flat bump, and I think he'd have been fine.
He said he just had over-rotated in the moment. He just wanted to make Edge look like $1 million coming in there. And so, hey, it happens. They say
exactly.
They say the worst injuries come when you're least expecting it. I mean, Kevin Nash was walking and tore his quad.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. I mean, I saw that match live, and I was just like, he literally just got into the ring, did 2 steps, and then grabbed at his quad.
Well, that was like Vince. He slid into the ring and tore his quad.
Right.
Literally just jumped in the ring.
Notice all of those came at a time where everybody's adrenaline was a little bit too much. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's when the injuries happen, is kind of when, AJ's thinking, Edge is coming back after 9 years. I got to do something big, and he tenses up and he does what he does, and he gets injured. So I think that's the common denominator here.
Right, but with Nash literally was just walking back to his corner to tag out in like a 6 or 8 man tag or something like that.
No, the opposite. Actually, the irony, I remember it vividly because I think he had just come back from an injury, in fact. So what it was that he had just gotten the hot tag and he was coming into the ring for the first time.
Okay.
So I think, again, an adrenaline situation, he's like, okay, this is the first time people have seen me in about 6 months wrestle, and here I come full force, and then boom, blows out his quad.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, gotcha.
Right. So again, all adrenaline situations where people were trying to do something more than they should have. In Vince's case, the unplanned finish of both men going out at the same time. So Vince was hot, so he comes in the ring and he knows he has to fix this situation, and again, blows out both his quads.
Now here's a question I have for you. Daniel Bryan defeated Drew Gulak. Daniel Bryan then acknowledged that, Gulak gave him a hard fight last night, and then afterwards said that if Gulak wants to help him, he'd take the help. Do you think that could build a new tag team for SmackDown?
I would totally be okay with it because Daniel Bryan, especially now, Daniel Bryan, I don't want to say he's on borrowed time because that's a really negative thing to say, but, the fact that we got Daniel Bryan back is a blessing. Now, to be able to kind of, 1, ease his load a little bit to put him in a tag team, and 2, build a wrestler who has looked up to Daniel Bryan his whole career. I think this would be nothing but good for the both of them because it would inspire Daniel Bryan to be at his best and inspire Drew Gulak to obviously perform as well as Daniel Bryan. So I think that would be a lot better of a tag team than people are realizing.
Oh, yeah.
Or even just a partnership. It doesn't have to necessarily be a tag team. It could just be like a mentor stable, if you will.
Yeah, I like that, where you say it could be just kind of the 2 guys that kind of like have each other's back at times and they help each other out when it's like, hey, I got to train for this big match. You got any suggestions and whatnot for me?
Right. And then maybe they come out together where, almost like Daniel Bryan's his trainer or vice versa, so it could work out. I think it could work out a lot better than we're thinking.
Now, as we kind of wrap up talks for Elimination Chamber, got 2 more things here. Did they bury Humberto last night? Can he come back from this? This is his 4th U.S. title shot since October, and he's lost them all. This is his 2nd U.S. title shot in a row at pay-per-views against Andrade. What do you do with Humberto? And can you keep him in that U.S. title mix, or do you have to do something different with him? I think you have to do something different now.
Yeah, I would agree with you because I realized last night, and this is not a shot at Andrade or Humberto Carrillo, but last night I was live tweeting, AKFYT again, wrestling on Twitter. I was live tweeting all the matches, all the happenings, having fun. I didn't realize I had zoned out completely and wasn't tweeting at all during Carrillo versus Andrade.
Uh-oh.
And again, that makes me feel like, okay, I've zoned out. That means I'm not interested in this feud, especially now after a fourth loss. It's kind of like, give me something different. I would almost rather you give me Andrade versus Humberto's cousins at this point. You know what I mean? I'd rather see Angel Garza in there. I don't know what they're doing with Humberto Carrillo. I'm just not interested. And I don't think that's necessarily his fault. It's just the booking's just been horrible in this feud. I know Andrade got suspended and all, but it's like, I don't really feel like anything would have been better if he had not gotten suspended.
Exactly. And it's just like, if you trust Humberto enough to put him in the title match and give you good matches, then why not eventually put the title on him? But I think, we'll see, from October, November, December, January, February, March, that's 5 months, and he's had 4 shots. If you're not going to give him the belt now, you need to kind of almost start rehabbing him and do something different with him. I get it. He likes working with Rey Mysterio, and they do the whole him and Rey versus Andrade and Angel Garza stuff. Yeah. That's been working well, especially like you said when Andrade was out. They just shoehorned Angel Garza in there. But it's like, when is enough enough? When is
right?
When are you doing the same thing too many times? Come to a head.
Exactly. And I feel like if what their plan was to take this all the way to Mania to give Humberto the big moment at Mania, it's like they've already ruined it.
Exactly.
Because like you said, he's lost 4 times. Why in the blue hell will we want to see that again? And I'm going to be in that WrestleMania crowd. I've officially bought my tickets to WrestleMania. Nice. I don't see any of us cheering for Humberto Carrillo to win the U.S. title. So it's like you said, just kind of drop it and rehab this guy at this point, because you're going to just completely kill his momentum if you keep going.
Yeah, because I don't know if this is still in the cards, but there was talks at one point of a U.S. title match with Andrade, Humberto, Rey, and Angel Garza. But it's like,
and I'd heard that too. Yeah.
What would Humberto? Why put Humberto in that if he's lost at Rumble, lost at Elimination Chamber, both to Andrade, who has the belt? Why would you justify giving this guy another title shot? I can see Rey sort of getting in there. I could see Angel Garza fighting his way and getting in there and something. But it's just like, how do you justify putting Humberto in another title match if that is the route they go, if plans haven't changed?
And the only thing I can see is like, and I'm just spitballing, but it's like the only thing I could see is like if you heel turn the guy and he turns on Rey Mysterio, and then you take him into another direction. But even I wouldn't even want that.
Yeah,
but
no.
I'm just saying, basically, it goes to your point of you have to rehab him and give him something different. It's like if you take him in his current state, there's no way he can go into a fatal 4-way and be, the fan favorite going into that. At that point, you'll want to see Rey Mysterio take the title out of all of those, or Angel Garza for that matter.
And as we move on to the final thing for talking about Elimination Chamber, we saw Shayna Baszler last night make history. She was the first person to ever record every elimination inside of an Elimination Chamber match. She did and didn't make history, you can say, because Braun Strowman, hold on, how many people did Braun Strowman eliminate in 2018? Because that was the 7-man. So yeah, he eliminated 5 people. So technically, he has the most eliminations in an Elimination Chamber. But that was a special case because there was actually 7 people in that chamber in 2018. But when you look at it as a whole, Shayna is technically the first person to eliminate all opponents in an Elimination Chamber.
Every competitor,
and
which is,
And I get why they did that, because Vince felt on Monday she didn't get a good reaction from the live crowd. So he wanted to put her in the Elimination Chamber and have her look like a beast. Now, WrestlingNews.co states that this actual story that they did with Shayna eliminating everybody is a storyline that Paul Heyman actually pitched for CM Punk back in the day. I don't know how true that is, But they're saying that was something that they had heard, that this was something that Heyman wanted to do with Punk back in the day. Didn't happen. He finally got it for Shayna Baszler here, and I think the reason they did it was because Vince wants Shayna to come off as a monster, as a dominant force that we think Becky can't beat, or there's a good chance Becky can't beat. And I think it served its purpose. I think it did all right. I think that they should have done a little more with Asuka and Shayna Baszler. And it should have went, I don't want to say longer, but maybe, because here's how I thought it should have gone. Liv Morgan should have been the last one to come in. When you have Shayna standing there all by herself, Asuka comes in there, and her and Asuka go back and forth for the 5 minutes or whatever. Liv Morgan comes in. The both of them kind of look at each other, look at Liv. One of them just takes Liv out really fast in a funny moment, and then they just go back to them two. Because I think there should have been more back and forth between Asuka and Shayna, unless they're saving that for some big match down the road, and they didn't want to give too much of that away last night.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of moving parts here that a lot of us are not thinking about, because I know the general consensus is a lot of people were unhappy. But here's the thing. I think they have bigger plans for Liv Morgan. So in your scenario, I think burying Liv Morgan a little bit like that would have been bad, because I feel like Liv Morgan's their next person after the fact. You know what I mean? So not this Mania, but maybe going into SummerSlam, they're going to do something with Liv Morgan. It's just a feeling I have. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have. I'm not saying I agree with it necessarily, but I feel like they're going to do something with Liv Morgan, which is why they kind of had her perform a little bit against Shayna Baszler and not just get eliminated really quickly. Now, to your point about Asuka, yes, I agree. I think we should have got a little bit more off of Asuka, but again, I'm speculation. Maybe it has something to do with her wrist injury. Maybe, like you said, maybe they're planning for Asuka to be the first challenger after Shayna Baszler wins the title. So maybe you save that. Again, I think there are a lot more moving parts than we're giving credit for. Now, that being said, I have the controversial opinion of actually liking the Women's Elimination Chamber. Apparently, that's not too popular in social media. I was saying that basically, to a lot of fans, this was their education of Shayna Baszler. Oh, yeah. And I think that's what Paul Heyman was trying to establish, because remember, a lot of us, or even listening to this wrestling wrap-up right now, we are fans of NXT and things like that, but it wasn't for us. It was for the fans who have never really seen Shayna Baszler perform. You establish her, give her instant credibility, and then make it seem like Becky Lynch has zero chance at WrestleMania against this monster, this beast, as you put it. I think it totally made sense if you kind of take a step back and look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, and they're really trying to, at least how I see it, they're trying to build up Shayna Baszler as like the female Brock Lesnar. Because in NXT, they talked about her martial arts background and how she fought in the UFC. But since she's been on Raw and on the main roster, they basically call her the cage fighter Shayna Baszler. And
she instantly, when she was booked for the Elimination Chamber, she said, "Hey, I'm a cage fighter. This is a cage. Like, come on, this is my zone."
And I thought it was funny that they were talking about, oh, yeah, she's been in the cage with, I can't remember one of the names they said, but the other one was like Amanda Nunes, the double champion UFC.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, it's like, if somebody hears that and goes, ooh, I want to check that out, they're going to go watch Amanda Nunes beat Shayna Baszler in that fight. So maybe they shouldn't have mentioned that last night.
Right, but I think it's just trying to sell her as like a legitimate fighter. And that's where you go in kayfabe. Do you think Liv Morgan, Natalya, or any of these women could go toe-to-toe with a real fighter like Shayna Baszler? Again, in kayfabe, that's what they're trying to establish. Right. Like, she is a real fighter. We're kind of in kayfabe 2.0 where, people know wrestling is fake, but they almost want to establish that, this is a real fighter. This is a real, she's been on The Ultimate Fighter season 18, like she's legit. And so, again, in a legit sense, there was no way that any of these women could match up with Shayna Baszler. So I think the booking was correct on this, whether people like it or not, Oh,
no. I think having Shayna go out there and be super dominant was good. I just didn't like that she did the whole, I'm going to stand around and wait twice. They should have only done that once, to be completely honest.
I can agree with that. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was because the fans kind of got bored with that. It's like, okay, she beat Liv in like a minute and a half, 2 minutes after Liv came out. So she had to just stand around and wait for Asuka, but she had already done that. She already stood around and waited for Liv Morgan for 2 minutes or so. But I did love how, every time Shayna would look at Asuka, Asuka would make fun of her entrance with the whole kiss her hands and then put her hands out. I thought that was just funny as hell.
Yeah, I thought I actually at least on the second one, I kind of feel like the crowd should have been, like stomping their feet a little bit more and building, because Asuka was doing a really good job of seething in that pod, and she did a really good. The mics were all turned up for her to be yelling. She's yelling in Japanese, but she's basically, "I'm gonna kill you as soon as I come out." I do think though, because a lot of people were saying like I didn't like that she got no reaction when she came out. I do think there was a little bit of a timing botch there, because I think the referee, if you look closely, had opened the left side of the pod when Asuka was trying to get out the right side. So just that little split second of a mistake, I think, killed the momentum. Go watch it back and you'll see what I'm talking about, because Asuka was trying to get out of the right. I feel like, if she was in that situation, though, she should have just ripped the door. Like, she should have just grabbed it and just threw it back.
Well, no, he had to unlock it.
That's true. Yeah, it was locked.
Because he went and he went to open the door to her back, and she literally is looking forward, notices what he's doing. She turns around and yells something like "door" or something. I don't know what, because you can't really tell exactly.
And then she has
yells,
to go for the right door again.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh crap!" And then she opens the other door, and then she gets in there, because it like you said, it was a timing thing where if the timer would have gone to 3, 2, 1, 0, and then she just ran right in, it would have been, she could have got a better pop if it was like 3, 2, 1, 0. So. Why are we waiting? Oh, okay, that's an extra 10 seconds there. But hey,
exactly. It was just that little hesitation. But I feel like the referee should have opened, in hindsight's 2020, but he should have opened both doors so that she could just run out no matter what.
Well, not even that. The ref should have just looked what direction she was looking at.
Right. Very true. But
I did like how. Because like when Liv Morgan came out, Shayna ran straight at Liv. But I love how when Shayna stepped back and goes, "Here's that line, come get me," and waited for Asuka. It was like a kind of a respect thing that she showed for Asuka.
Right. It showed that Asuka was a dominant competitor, that she wanted to fight, but it kind of did show some sort of intimidation. She's not going straight for Asuka. She's going to let her come to her. So good subtleties there. Good subtleties.
And so with the Elimination Chamber, the next stop we have for the WWE is WrestleMania. With WrestleMania, we've got, of course, one match confirmed new, which is a match we've known, Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch. This was actually the first match that they agreed upon, that Vince McMahon said, that's a match we're doing. That's our WrestleMania big match. That was the first match that was on the books. That match was announced last night. But we've also heard of a few other matches that are going to be taking place at WrestleMania. So originally, it was reported that the Women's Tag Team Championships was going to be just the Kabuki Warriors against the Divas of Doom, Natalya and Beth Phoenix. But according to Alex McCarthy of TalkSport, he does report that match will now be a triple threat match, adding in the team of Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. And Alexa teased that on Friday Night SmackDown this week when she opened up the show with the Moment of Bliss. She was like, "Hey, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Kabuki Warriors, I see you guys hiding out on Raw, but your titles are supposed to be defended everywhere. Where have you been?" And then she also kind of plagued that up again on social media, I want to say on Saturday, maybe Sunday. And so we're going to get a triple threat there. My one question is, you've got a team from Raw and the Kabuki Warriors, a team from SmackDown in the Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
You've got the, I guess you could say, veteran team in the Divas of Doom. Why not make it a four-way? I know last year they did a four-way, but why not make it a four-way and add an NXT team as well?
I was going to ask you the same question. I literally, while you were reading that, my mind was like, we got Raw representation. We got SmackDown. If NXT is going to have a presence at this WrestleMania, why not put a NXT team in there? So I wouldn't be surprised if last minute an NXT team came in.
Right.
But I think that would be actually the best course of action. Now, a lot of us, myself included, sometimes get sick of the 3 ways and the 4 ways and that. But at the same time, if it was Kabuki Warriors versus Natalya and Beth Phoenix, a lot of people would be like, well, they got Beth Phoenix. She's not even an active competitor. And they'd be complaining that, that she's taking someone's spot. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the way to rectify that is, a 3-way in this sense, or a 4-way if they add an NXT team. So I'm kind of excited for this now.
And I like the whole fact of, I think this should be the thing for every year. At WrestleMania, the women's tag team title match is one team representing every brand. Because the whole thing is this title is the only title that we really have now that can be defended on any brand, even though the champions are Raw superstars and they stay on Raw. So I think that the thing should be for WrestleMania that every year we take the titles and there's one team representing every brand. But now my question, though, with that, is there any women's tag teams in NXT that would even make sense anyways? I mean, 5-6 months ago.
It would have to be a makeshift. It would have to be a makeshift.
Right. 5-6 months ago, you could have said Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, but that's thrown out the window. So what are you going to do? Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez?
Right. And then it becomes like, do you even want that team to be in that match? So I think it would be, if they did it, it would have to be like a makeshift. Like you take a Bianca Belair and you take a Tegan Nox. You know what I mean? You take two people who are like, we want the opportunity to be on WrestleMania. We're the two biggest stars here in NXT's women's division, and we're gonna go team up. Do something like that. But then then it begs the questions like, should you just not do an NXT team then?
Right, exactly. Because if it's not a actual team, then people are gonna go, why does this even make sense? I get that you need a team from NXT, so you could do like if it was my idea where every year it's the biggest show of the year, so you get representation from every brand. So if maybe that would be the case, which is not going to be the case, maybe you can do like William Regal makes an announcement saying, hey, we need a team representing NXT with the Women's Tag Team Championships on the line. So I am sending, Candice LeRae and Tegan Nox as representatives of NXT to compete for these titles and hopefully maybe bring those titles to the Black and Gold brand. So maybe like Regal just picks the two people, like you said, makeshift. And that would make more sense than just two random girls coming together going, hey, want a team together? At least there's an authority.
Well, there you go. So you actually gave me an idea, which is like, okay, so if Regal is kind of saying, I'm going to take two of our best, why not in that sense take Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai and say put them together to be the NXT team? Now you have like a makeshift team that's actually a team, or they used to be, and now they have to, there's the dynamic of like, okay, the two of you don't like each other, but you're the best that I have.
Right.
So I'm going to put you together because there was chemistry between you two. Now go and do it.
Can they coexist just long enough?
You got it. So now that's a whole dynamic just added to that match that makes it more intriguing.
So the other match that is being talked about right now, we did hear from one source that with Sami Zayn becoming the new Intercontinental Champion, there's going to be some tension between he, Nakamura, and Cesaro, which is actually going to lead to a fatal four-way match possibly if plans don't change, where Sami Zayn would be defending against Nakamura, Cesaro, and Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. Now here's the thing. It's like, who's the babyface in this? Of course, Braun Strowman. But if, say, Cesaro and Nakamura no longer want to watch Sami Zayn's back because he's getting maybe you say he gets a big head about himself because he's now the Intercontinental Champion. He thinks he's better than them, and they say, screw you, we'll show you who's better. Do you turn either Nakamura or Cesaro babyface in that regard for this match?
I think you turn Nakamura because he's kind of the guy that at WrestleMania, I hate to say it, but he's untouchable in terms of crowd reaction sometimes. WWE's quote unquote buried him a couple times, yet he still gets a pretty damn strong reaction. You have him come out to his original song, be a baby face at WrestleMania, the crowd will cheer. The crowd will cheer instantaneously. So I think in this scenario, I think it's an opportunity to give Nakamura a little push, turn him back babyface, and go from there. He could win back the Intercontinental Championship even, I think, and be just a great babyface champion going forward.
So you would think that maybe Nakamura wins the title here instead of Braun just getting it back?
Hope, here's the thing. I would hope, but my heart of hearts tells me they'll go with Braun Strowman winning it because they want to give him the big WrestleMania moment with the IC title.
I can see that. But it's just weird that it's just like, I get why take it off of him because it's going to put even bigger heel heat on Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn can go out there and say that he's one of the best now in the company because he's got the IC title, and the IC title is one of the most respected titles. And I think that's where it leads to Nakamura and Cesaro maybe saying, hey, screw you. You wouldn't have been able to do that without us. You're not going to – because I can see Sami going straight out and saying, I did it all myself. I goaded Braun Strowman into the three-way. I'm the one that made that match happen, this and that. And that's how they go, oh, fuck you. So we'll see if that match does happen. I mean, there's 4 weeks till WrestleMania, and as we've seen before, plans can change all the way up to like week of.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not expecting this card to be 100% a lock until that SmackDown before Mania.
Right.
So we'll see.
And so with that, the one last thing I want to hit on is, well, tonight is Monday Night Raw. With tonight's Monday Night Raw, there's not really much known for the show, and that's to be expected because we did have the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view last night. But the one thing that we do know for certain is that Edge is going to be on tonight's show, and he's going to be gunning for Randy Orton. You think the match officially gets announced tonight between him and Orton for Mania?
I think so. I think it at least gets teased. But here's a question I have.
Okay.
Did they announce on social medias at all that Edge was coming to Raw officially before after Friday, I should say? Was there any sort of official announcement? And I ask for a reason.
Yeah, they've got it up on WWE.com. It says Edge will be on Raw. They've aired a commercial on SmackDown and during Elimination Chamber that said Edge will be live on Raw Monday. And
right.
So and they put it on Twitter.
That commercial is the reason I ask, because I had seen last night during Elimination Chamber, they aired two commercials for Raw, so maybe one mistakenly. One was like, will Edge show up on Monday Night Raw to avenge Beth Phoenix? So I was like, I thought it was announced already on SmackDown that he was going to be on Raw. And then sure enough, they air the ad again that says Edge will be on Monday Night Raw. So it was kind of weird that they aired both of those ads.
Right.
One asking if he would be on Raw, and one's officially using his images and saying he will be on Raw.
Yeah, I didn't see that first one.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I was like, I think that first one was a mistake.
Right. And I mean, when you just look on Twitter real fast, you just type in Edge in the search, and one of the first things that comes up is the WWE on Fox Twitter account stating the Rated R superstar Edge returns tonight on Raw.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I know he's returning on Raw, but I felt it was kind of weird that they aired that first ad when I was pretty damn sure they had aired an ad on SmackDown that was like, he will be on Raw.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't see that first one where it was kind of like asking.
I think it was on the pre-show.
Gotcha.
So I was watching the pre-show when that one
I missed
happened.
most of the pre-show.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so another thing that has been talked about is the Undertaker might be on Raw tonight. It's not confirmed, but we had heard last week that the building accidentally same thing they did with Edge. They accidentally advertised the Undertaker locally and then pulled that really quick. So Undertaker most likely going to be on Raw tonight, set up his match at WrestleMania with AJ Styles. And then in something that I get and don't get why they didn't do this last night, there's going to be probably a confrontation, stare down with Becky Lynch. I wish at least, with Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. I wish at least, because we saw Becky watching the match backstage, I wish at least when Shayna won that match, Shayna should have been soaking it up, and within the last maybe 30 seconds of the show, Becky's music hits, she walks out on the ramp, holds her belt up high, and Shayna just stares at her. I wish we would have got something like that, but I guess they got bigger plans for them because they can't not have some sort of a confrontation between the two tonight on Raw.
I feel like, and a lot of people are probably not realizing this, but I feel like they wanted the show to end awkwardly last night at Elimination Chamber. They wanted it to be like, that's it? Like, what the hell was that?
Right.
They wanted that reaction from the crowd to put over, Shayna Baszler as like this true heel. True heel being the fact that, there's nothing to like about Shayna Baszler. This is not a Triple H or an NWO cool heel from the 90s. This is a legitimate heel. There's nobody that's going to be cheering Shayna Baszler going into WrestleMania. So I think people are not looking at the bigger picture here. I think Becky Lynch will be really reestablished as a babyface going into WrestleMania here. Everybody clamoring for her to beat Shayna Baszler. But yeah, I think that ending was actually decent because it makes you want to go, all right, well, I guess that's just it. All right, let's see what happens on Raw. They kind of want that feeling go into Raw, like, what the hell is this? I'm intrigued, but it's kind of weird.
So here's my question to you. I kind of talked about this on my Raw review last week. We've seen Becky Lynch the last couple of weeks coming out with like the jackets and the sunglasses and trying to be too cool for school. Do you think they're going a little too far on this with Becky Lynch and almost making her too much of a character? Or do you think that it's okay and that she's not losing some of her edge that we've seen over the last year as the man?
I think that's exactly it, though. I think, they've gone too far. They've absolutely gone too far. But I think that's exactly the point, which is like they're trying to make Becky seem like, she's untouchable. She doesn't give a crap. And then you have Shayna Baszler come in and be like, if you don't fucking take me seriously,
Yeah.
I'm going to end your world. And, basically, I wouldn't be surprised if Becky's on commentary for a match, a women's match or something, and then Shayna just comes and chokes her ass out while she's wearing that and stomps on whatever crown or garb she has on and says, you better take me seriously or your title's mine, kind of thing. And so I hope at least that's where the booking is going, because, yes, I do think it's too much Becky coming out with all this stuff. So let's see. We got 4 weeks to rectify the situation.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's just because it's kind of turning me off on the Becky character, because it's just like, oh, she's just a goofball that thinks she's the coolest person in the company and can do anything she wants. I get that. That's what the man character was supposed to be. But like I said, I feel they've taken it one step too far, and now she's just kind of too much joking ha-ha.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you have, again, if they don't change her booking, and I hope that they will. I mean, she's facing Shayna freaking Baszler. You have someone established as that she can dominate the whole Raw women's division, and yet you're going into this joking and smiling. Like, I don't think that would be good booking.
And like you said, I think there's going to be something that like happens to Becky via Shayna that's going to trigger in Becky's head, oh shit, I need to take this more serious.
Right. So, and I think it'll be good.
So here's my question. One last thing here. Prediction.
Mm-hmm.
You think Shayna wins the belt at WrestleMania? Or is this just another Becky's going to get that big moment win at WrestleMania again?
I think it depends. I think it depends on the scenario that we're saying. If she doesn't take, in kayfabe, if she doesn't take Shayna seriously, I think we get Shayna dominating. And I think we get a quick match even. And we get Shayna just choking her out a la Elimination Chamber and winning the title. And that, I wouldn't be surprised if that's your opener. I'll say it like this. If it's your opener, I think Shayna's going to win that title. But if it's mid-card, somewhere in the mid-card, I think Becky's going to have that feel-good moment. So that's my prediction. Yeah, I don't know. If I had to pick one, I think Shayna's coming out on top with this title.
I think this is going to be one of the matches where they don't make up their mind on the finish and who's winning until like week of. Because
right, day of maybe even.
Because Vince is so, as we learned last week, iffy on the reactions that Shayna Baszler's been getting since she came up to Raw. And so I think Vince is going to be like, all right, we got to keep making her strong. Hopefully the crowds can react to her in the way we want, and then we'll go forward with that. So I think if these crowds aren't reacting well to Shayna, then Vince is going to be in the mindset of, well, they're not going to care if she's the champion. Because, like, what he wants is he doesn't want her to get cheered. That's not what we're saying. He wants her to get Brock Lesnar level of reactions as far as when she comes out, every single person in that building is booing because they don't like her, not that they don't want to see her. And I think that's what Vince is looking for with Shayna Baszler, and he's going to wait until that final Raw or whatever else they do to figure out, okay, yeah, she's getting what we want. Maybe we can go forward with her as the champion, because I think with all the baby faces on Raw, a heel champion is kind of needed at the moment, in my opinion.
I agree. And one thing I really feel like they need to do, I feel like they haven't done it in a little bit, is like, give me a scenario where Becky Lynch wins at WrestleMania, but then Shayna gets a rematch the next night and wins the title off of her then.
I could see something like that, maybe.
I want something like that where, the Raw after Mania, they pull a title change like that you didn't see coming.
Right.
And then maybe that'll give, especially the Raw after Mania crowd is the loudest crowd of the year. That might give Shayna the boos and the reaction that Vince is looking for. So just an opinion, but I feel like if Shayna's going to win, you do it at Mania, she probably get cheered because you got too many smarks in the crowd where she might get heat more so on that Raw after Mania.
I can see where that would make more sense a little bit. But with that, we're going to wrap things up here. I want to thank everybody for joining us live here on YouTube. I want to thank everybody who watches later right here on YouTube or listens on podcast services all around the world like iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Also, another way that you can support us here at Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and it may not cost you anything, is heading over to our Twitch channel. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. with your guys' help and support, we were able to grow that channel into the affiliate level, and now you guys can subscribe. But here's the kicker. If you are a Amazon Prime member, then you're a Twitch Prime member, and as a Twitch Prime member, you get one free subscription that you can give to any Twitch streamer of your choice. So why not give it to us? Why not help out PW Unlimited? It's just free money burning a hole in your pocket anyways. Kenny, where can they find you?
You can find me pretty much anywhere you can find Pro Wrestling Unlimited. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/A Kenny for Your Thoughts. Just search A Kenny for Your Thoughts Wrestling Podcast, and you can find us everywhere as well. So thank you guys, and thank you, Tim, for having me on again. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. Again, I will be live again tonight after Monday Night Raw. When's your next live stream?
The next live stream will probably be Thursday morning. Look out for it. Hit set notifications. Usually we do a Thursday morning or a Friday morning for our podcast live.
Sounds good. All right, Kenny, I want to say thank you for joining me here today. Have a good day, guys. We'll see you later.